محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم على محمد وآل محمد.
صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله. وعلى السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. يا رحمة الله الواسعة غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء. سيدي يا أبا عبد الله، لأندمنك ولأبكين عليك بدل الدموع دما. يا أبا عبد الله، يا ليتنا ثم يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. عن مولانا الإمام الحسين سلام الله عليه. وقد بعثت إليكم ثقتي وابن عمي مسلما ابن عقيل، وسأقدم عليكم وشيكا في أثره إن شاء الله تعالى. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. A city that has a major significance for us as Muslims. A city that has been painted with all sorts of pictures. A city that has been claimed to be the city of betrayal. A city that Shi'i literature, let alone non-Shi'i literature, started using its name as a synonym with the word betrayal. For we find in some Arabic poetry, when they use the name of the city, they would use it while meaning the meaning of betrayal. This is the city of Kufa. A city that we really need to dive deep into and understand what it the history behind this city. For we find from one angle, Amir al-Mu'mineen Salamullah alayhi would praise this city and the people of this city and would shift the Khilafah and leadership from Medina to this city, to Kufa. From another hand, we find that the people of Kufa would write letters to Imam Hussain telling him that they would support him, and then they would end up betraying him. This incident has caused a lot of pens and a lot of articles and a lot of historical books that says that since the Kufans betrayed Imam al-Hussain Salamullah alayhi, therefore, and since Kufa has a majority of Shia, therefore the Shia themselves has betrayed Imam al-Hussain, and thus the Shia are the ones who are responsible for the killing of Imam Hussain. These claims we hear every year, and to be able to answer these claims and understand the nature of the city and whether the Shia actually betrayed the Imam Hussain, we really need to dive deeper into the nature of the city and how was it established, and how was it in the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen, how was it in the time of Imam al-Hassan, and so on, to be able to understand what really occurred and whether the Shia actually betrayed Imam al-Hussain or not. To be able to do so, in today's lecture, we will first assess when was the city of Kufa re-established to become a city where people can live in. Then we will assess what is the nature of the city in the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. After that, we will assess what happened in the city of Kufa in the time of Muawiyah and the ruling of the Umayyad dynasty. Finally, we will assess why did Imam Hussain choose to leave Mecca and head towards the city of Kufa. All of that to be able to understand whether the city of Kufa first betrayed Imam Hussain and whether Kufa was a Shia city to begin with, and whether the Shia themselves were a reason or responsible for the killing of Imam Hussain. All of that we will start with after Salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. First, we need to understand that the city of Kufa goes way beyond the Islamic Empire. For we find that thousands of years ago, people used to live in the city of Kufa. This is why today when we go and visit the city of Kufa, by the way, the city of Kufa back then included Najaf and other cities. Today when we go to Kufa, it's a small city next to Najaf. No, Kufa was a big area that included Najaf and other areas. So now when we go and visit Najaf, which is part of the city of Kufa, we find that the Prophet Adam is buried in the city of Najaf. Prophet Saleh is buried in the city of Najaf. Prophet Noah is buried in the city of Najaf, and Prophet Hud. So all of these prophets, we find their graves to be in the city of Najaf. Furthermore, when we go to Masjid al-Kufa, for example, you find that certain areas, they will tell you that this area, the Prophet Adam prayed in that area. This area, Prophet Saleh landed his ark in this area. So on and so forth. So historically, the city of Kufa goes way beyond Islamic Empire, thousands of years ago. However, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the city was almost inhabitable. Very few people used to live there, and most of them were non-Muslims anyway. So in the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab, 17th of Al-Hijrah, Umar would send a general by the name of Sa'ad ibn Abi al-Waqqas. Now some of us may be familiar with the name Sa'ad. This name Sa'ad, he is the father of Umar ibn Sa'ad, who would fight Imam Hussain on the day of Ashura, would be one of the leaders of the camp of Yazid. Sa'ad ibn Abi al-Waqqas, he goes, Umar would send him to build and re-establish the city of Kufa. Why did he do so? In the time of Umar, the Islamic Empire expanded a lot. So they needed certain areas, strategic areas, where the army can rest and take their time. Because the distance from from Hijaz all the way to Persia or to Sham was a long distance. But they needed an area where the army can rest and take a break. Therefore, they decided to establish the city of Kufa to become a military base for the Islamic Empire. And by the way, this was the case in majority of cities in Iraq. If we look at why did Samarra get established, similar reason, to become a military base. Why did Basra get established? Similar reason, to become a military base. So Umar would send Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas to re-establish Kufa. The first thing Sa'ad would do, the first building he would build in the city of Kufa is a palace by the name of Palace of Amara, Qasr al-Amara. We have heard of this palace when we recited the Musibah of Muslim, for Muslim was dropped from that palace. Sa'ad would build this palace to be the main area where whoever is the governor of Kufa would be residing in this palace. And we see that the army, when they used to come and rest, they were not allowed to bring their families for the first few years. It was purely a military base. Then they started to bring families, and the city slowly started to get established. So this is, in brief, how did Kufa get established, generally speaking. One thing Umar made sure, in regards to the population of Kufa, since most of them were in the army, most of them he would use in Islamic conquests, he made sure that majority of them are people who have memorized Quran, so that they know the teachings of the Quran, yet he prohibited any form of teaching of hadith in the city of Kufa. He wanted the army to just know the Quran. So this piece of information, let's keep it with us, it will be useful later. So initially, the city of Kufa, this is how it got established. Now we move to Amir al-Mu'mineen's era, Imam Ali sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why did Amir al-Mu'mineen choose to shift the capital of the Islamic Empire from Medina all the way to Kufa? Let's assess the time at the beginning of the Khilafah of Amir al-Mu'mineen sallallahu alayhi. When Uthman died, many people were kind of happy, for they were looking up for Amir al-Mu'mineen to give them a larger share from the treasury of the Muslims, from Bayt al-Mal. From amongst those people is a lady and two people by the name of Talha and Zubair. Amir al-Mu'mineen, we know, he's the embodiment of justice. He would give them their share and no more. They were not happy with the share that they got. So they decided to start forming some sort of rebellion against Amir al-Mu'mineen. What did they do? The lady would ask Talha and Zubair to go all the way to Basra, also another military base, and affect the people of Basra and try to form a rebellion against Amir al-Mu'mineen. Now Talha and Zubair would go to Basra, and they are successful in forming this rebellion. Amir al-Mu'mineen gets the news that some sort of rebellion is being formed in the city of Basra. He then would write letters to the Muslims all around the Islamic Empire. Letters to Yemen, letters to Kufa, letters to Egypt, and so on. So Amir al-Mu'mineen would start to make a move towards Basra to put a limit to the movement that Talha and Zubair are starting. How many people does he take with him from Medina? It is said that he takes with him around 700 to 800 people from the Muhajirin and Ansar with him. Muhajirin and Ansar, Muhajirin are the ones who immigrated with the Prophet from Mecca to Medina, and Ansar are the companions of the Prophet who were in Medina. So Amir al-Mu'mineen would take about 700 to 800 soldiers from Muhajirin and Ansar with him to Basra. How many came from Kufa to aid Amir al-Mu'mineen in the battle that occurred in Basra? How many do you think? In comparison to the 800 that he took? 12,000. 12,000 from Kufa came to aid Amir al-Mu'mineen in the battle that occurred in Basra. We all have heard of it, the Battle of Jamal. The Battle of Tamr, which is the first battle that Amir al-Mu'mineen had to take part of during the time of his Khilafah. Now after the Battle of Jamal, Amir al-Mu'mineen would see that he has a lot of companions from Kufa, and the ones that like him in Yemen, a lot of people, by the way, like Amir al-Mu'mineen in Yemen because towards the end of the life of the Prophet, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Prophet would send Amir al-Mu'mineen to Yemen. So many people in Yemen were affected by Amir al-Mu'mineen, so they like him. So the people who like Amir al-Mu'mineen followed him from Yemen, and he decided to go to Kufa. And we will mention the points one by one. Why did he do so? And we can see clearly from the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen that how much he liked the people of Kufa. For we'll mention few incidents. The first incident is when the people came and warned Amir al-Mu'mineen about Talha and Zubair in Basra. The first thing he said, إن أهل الكوفة أشد إلي حبا وفيهم رؤوس العرب وأعلامهم. In other words, what Amir al-Mu'mineen said, okay, Basra is now dangerous, but I'm not worried about Kufa. For I'm sure the people of Kufa love me more than they do to Talha and Zubair. And the people of Kufa has the head of the tribes of the Arabs and the leaders of the Arabs. So I'm safe knowing that the people of Kufa like me more. Furthermore, another incident. When Amir al-Mu'mineen, we said he wrote to all of the cities in the Islamic Empire. Let's see what did Amir al-Mu'mineen write to the people of Kufa when he wrote to them so that they can come with him in the Battle of Jamal. He wrote, and I chose to come, when he wrote to them that he's coming towards Kufa to establish the Islamic Empire. He told them, and I chose to come to you, O people of Kufa, because of my knowledge of your immense love to Allah and His Holy Messenger. So the Imam is showing us that he is aware that the people of Kufa are people of those who love Allah, love His Messenger, love Ahlul Bayt. So here the Imam is clearly praising the people of Kufa. A third incident. After that, the people of Kufa supported the Imam in Basra. What did he say? He said, أنتم أشد العرب ودا للنبي وأهل بيته. You are the most amongst the Arab that love the Prophet and his holy household. So again, we see multiple incidents where Amir al-Mu'mineen would praise the people of Kufa, would show us that the people of Kufa, amongst all the Arabs, amongst all the other Islamic nations, are the most that love Ahlul Bayt. So now we ask the question, why did Amir al-Mu'mineen make the move towards Kufa? The first reason, before mentioning the historical reasons, I want to just note one note. My dear brothers and sisters, surely the city of Kufa has some sort of blessings. For, as we saw, 4 prophets are buried there. The Masjid of Kufa is based there. Masjid al-Kufa is one of the 4 great mosques we have in Islam. We find that Amir al-Mu'mineen decided to move the Khilafah from Medina to Kufa. And finally, we find that Imam Sahib al-Zaman Ajallah Ta'ala Faraja would choose Kufa to be the capital of his government when he reappears, after he reappears in Mecca. So surely, from a belief point of view at least, Kufa has a blessing. It's a blessed place. It's a very significant place in our belief. Now let's look at the historical reasons why did Amir al-Mu'mineen decide to move to Kufa. Historically, as we can see from the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen, number one, it had the largest number of lovers of Ahlul Bayt. And I emphasize on the word lovers. Usually people who loved Imam Ali, they used in history, they would call them Shia Ali, the followers of Ali. But the word Shia, the followers, is a general word. That includes those who loved Imam Ali and were loyal to him. They would believe that he is appointed by Allah, which is the word, the term Shi'i that we use in today's age. And it would include those who love Amir al-Mu'mineen because of his status, because of the noble things that he did during the time of the Prophet, because of how much the Prophet has emphasized on the character of Amir al-Mu'mineen. So when we say it had the largest number of lovers of Amir al-Mu'mineen, we include both the Shi'i loyal ones and the general Shi'i ones, which is simply that they liked Amir al-Mu'mineen. As we said, 12,000 of them came to Basra to fight with him. And the second battle, Ma'rakat Siffin, most of them, those who fought with Amir al-Mu'minin, were from Kufa. So we find that they loved Amir al-Mu'minin. That is the second reason. The first reason. The second reason he moved to Kufa, because strategically speaking, Kufa is in the center of the Islamic world. And where there was a large resistance movement going on, were in Sham, led by Muawiyah. Kufa is closer to Sham. From Medina to Sham is a long distance. Furthermore, as we said, Iraq in general, most Iraqi cities back then were military bases. If Muawiyah would reach to these cities before Amir al-Mu'minin, then he will be able to take a large amount of the army of the Islamic Empire. So Amir al-Mu'minin moved to Kufa to be able to make sure that this large number of soldiers are with Amir al-Mu'minin, not with Muawiyah. This is the second reason. The third reason, because we said earlier that Umar made sure that the people of Kufa are well versed in Quran. So Amir al-Mu'minin found that at least they have the best grounding for him to teach them the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because at least they have the Quran part more than other cities. So this gives us three reasons why Amir al-Mu'minin chose to move to Kufa. Now when Amir al-Mu'minin moved to Kufa, we say a lot of them love Amir al-Mu'minin. But a lot of them, does that mean majority of Kufa? Or does that mean a relative majority to other Islamic cities? No, it's a relative majority to other Islamic cities. For the city of Kufa, when Amir al-Mu'minin arrived, was divided into 7 parts. 7 boroughs, 7 cities, whatever you want to call it. Of those 7 boroughs, only one of the boroughs were Shia. The rest were not. Some of them were Khawarij, some of them were non-Shia, some of them were non-Muslims. Non-Muslims also lived in Kufa. So only one of these were Shia. So to claim that Kufa was a Shia majority in of itself is a claim that requires to be revisited in the first place. Now, the time of Amir al-Mu'minin, as we mentioned, had 3 battles. The Battle of Kamel, Ma'rakat al-Jamal, and that occurred in Basra. After it, Amir al-Mu'minin moved the Khilafah to Kufa. Siffin occurred in Kufa. After that, which is an extra proof that not all population of Kufa liked Amir al-Mu'minin, the third battle, which was Nahrawan. Nahrawan was with whom? With the Khawarij. The Khawarij, where were they living? A lot of them were also in the city of Kufa. Which means city of Kufa, not all of it was Shia or lovers of Amir al-Mu'minin. Now, after Amir al-Mu'minin sallallahu alayhi wa got struck by Ibn Muljim, may Allah withdraw his mercy from him. Now it is time for Imam Hassan to become the Khalifa of the Muslimin. Imam Hassan assessed the situation. He said, now, first of all, the Shia are not majority in this city of Kufa. Secondly, those who are Shia, we said some of them are loyal Shias who truly believe in the Shia beliefs. Others are simple lovers of the Imams. As for those who simply love the Imam, form the majority of the Shia. Those were already tired. They had 3 battles with Amir al-Mu'minin. Morally, they were crushed. They didn't want to go into more wars. As for the true loyal Shias, they were very little in number. If they were to go on another battle with Imam al-Hassan and get killed, we will have no more loyal Shias. So Imam al-Hassan thought of it strategically. He said, people now are questioning, is Muawiyah a good or bad leader? And we already have little number of loyal Shias. So to protect them, he signed a treaty with Muawiyah that you become the Khalifa, and after you, I will claim Khilafah, and if I wasn't alive, then my brother Hussain would claim Khilafah. This was part of the treaty. And part of the treaty was to stop the killing of the Shias. The Shias are safe. So after they signed the treaty and Muawiyah became the ruler of the Muslimin, the leader of the Muslimin, here we have 20 years of very, very harsh policies on the Shia in Kufa. Amir al-Mu'minin, how many years? 4 years. 4 years, and he was fought 3 times. Muawiyah, 20 years of ruling Kufa. What did Muawiyah do when he first became the Khalifa of the Muslims? The first thing Muawiyah did, he sent a leader by the name of Ziyad ibn Abi. Now if I want to translate his name, Ziyad, the son of his father. Now you will not ask me, all of us are the son of our fathers. So why is it the son of his father? They say his name is the son of his father because nobody knows who his father is. His mother was an indecent woman. So that's why they call him Ziyad ibn Abi. Muawiyah would send this man. And this man also, just to note, is the father of Ubaydillah ibn Ziyad, the ruler of Kufa that would later rule Kufa and kill Muslim ibn Aqil. So Ziyad ibn Abi, what does he do? Once he arrived to Kufa, the first thing he does, we said there are 7 boroughs. He abolished this idea and he made it into 4 boroughs. And that one borough that had majority Shia, he divided them into the 4 boroughs. Now obviously, as we mentioned, because of the treaty, it wasn't very easy for Ziyad to simply kill the Shia. Because at the end of the day, there's a treaty. He would kill some, but not as easy as it is. But he did other policies, and we will assess them. So first thing is, he divided it into 4 quarters, and divided the Shia amongst these 4 quarters. Then on each quarter, Ziyad ibn Abi would set a leader of that quarter. Let's assess the characteristics of each of those 4 leaders and understand the type of leaders that was leading Kufa during those 20 or so years. The first leader of the boroughs goes by the name of Amr ibn Hurayth. Who is this Amr ibn Hurayth? I'll give you one story about Amr ibn Hurayth. Amr ibn Hurayth, we all know Maytham Tamar, the companion of Imam Ali. And Imam Ali told him that he will be crucified on a palm tree. There is another part, not only that. He told him, before you get crucified on the palm tree, you will be hanged on the door of the house of Amr ibn Hurayth. And you know what happened? Exactly what Imam Ali said. Maytham al-Tammar would be hanged on the door of Amr ibn Hurayth and then would be crucified on the palm tree. So the first leader of the 4 quarters clearly is a big lover of Amir al-Mu'minin. And I mean it sarcastically. The second leader of the 4 quarters goes by the name of Khalid bin Al-Fata. Khalid bin Al-Fata, somebody would come to Amir al-Mu'minin and would tell him, oh my master, I want to tell you that Khalid has died, has been killed. Amir al-Mu'minin would tell him, no, Khalid is still alive. And he will appear during a battle holding one of the flags against us in the future. Khalid bin Al-Fata, when did he appear? On the day of Ashura. He would be asked to prepare his army to go against the army of Imam Hussain. So this is the second ruler, or the second mayor of Kufa. The third leader that Ziyad ibn Abi would set is Qais ibn al-Walid. Now I want to ask, who's Qais ibn al-Walid? I don't want to go too much into his life. Qais ibn al-Walid is the brother of Khalid ibn al-Walid. Well, this is enough part, clearly not a Shia. Fourthly, the 4th leader that Ziyad ibn Abi would set goes by the name of Abu Burda ibn Abi Musa al-Ash'ari. Now who is this person? Let me just tell you a story about this man. We all have heard the Prophet telling Ammar ibn Yasir that تقتلك الفئة الباغية. Oh Ammar, the unjust group is going to be the group that kills you. And when does Ammar ibn Yasir die? In the Battle of Siffin, the group of Muawiyah would kill Ammar ibn Yasir. Now this man, Abu Burda, would go not to the group that killed Ammar, to the person that killed Ammar himself, would go to the killer of Ammar. He would kiss his head and tell him, may Allah never put you into his hellfire. This is the kind of people that ruled Kufa during the Umayyads period. Those were the four leaders that Ziyad ibn Abi said. What else did Ziyad ibn Abi do? Because as we said, it wasn't easy for him to kill Shia, but it was easy for him to exile them. It is said, according to historical accounts, that he exiled roughly 50,000 Shia from the city of Kufa. It's not a small number. 50,000. Furthermore, part of the Umayyad policies were to limit the share of Kufa from the treasury. Because they knew Kufa wasn't very fond of Muawiyah. So they were afraid that Kufa could rise against Muawiyah any day. So they made sure to limit the amount they get from the treasury, from Bayt al-Mal, to make sure that they deal with their daily matters because of the limited income that they have and don't have enough time to rise against Muawiyah. So 20 years of Muawiyah rulership. Now let's look at the demographics of Kufa after or during those 20 years. First of all, Kufa had both, from an ethnicity point of view, had both Arabs and non-Arabs. The Arabs, some of them, they were the army that Umar ibn Khattab sent, and some of them were those who came with Amir al-Mu'minin. The non-Arabs included Assyrians, who used to live in Kufa from the beginning, and would include Mawlawis, which were non-Arab Muslims. That would include Persians, Turks, so on and so forth. So ethnicity-wise, this was the demographics of Kufa. Now belief-wise, what was the belief of the people of Kufa? We had the Shia, and of the Shia, as we said, are those who are simple lovers of Ahlul Bayt without the belief in Ahlul Bayt. And there are those who had the belief in Ahlul Bayt as well, which were limited. We had the lovers of Banu Umayyah. And majority of the political roles and the major roles in the city of Kufa during the Umayyad period were those who are lovers of the Umayyads. So the important roles was with the lovers of the Umayyads. The third group, belief-wise, were the Khawarij, but they were very limited because they fought Amir al-Mu'minin and they lost. Then they tried many times to rise against Muawiyah and they lost. So the number were very little during the Umayyad period. The fourth group were what some historians call them the ones that doesn't care. All they care about is they wanted to be able to live. Whoever provides them with a living, they will go with. Muawiyah provides with living, they will go with Muawiyah. Hussain provides them with living, they go with Hussain. They don't really have a set standard. And it is said that majority of the population of Kufa were amongst those people, the last group. They didn't really have a strong belief in Ahlul Bayt, so they weren't really Shias per se. So demographically, this was the situation in Kufa. Now that we understood the state of Kufa during the Umayyad period, what happened? Now we get to the final part and ask ourselves, why did Imam al-Hussain salamullah alayhi decide to go to the people of Kufa? Let's first assess who wrote the letters. Because the first thing they say, people wrote letters to Imam Hussain and no one came to his aid. The letters were in 3 batches, the letters that went to Imam Hussain. The first batch were lawyers true lawyers of Ahl al-Bayt. I'll give you 3 names that were part of the first batch. One name is Habib ibn Mudahar. We all know Habib ibn Mudahar. He died with Imam Hussain in Ashura, so he stuck to his word. Another name is Han ibn Urwa. Han ibn Urwa was killed with Muslim ibn Aqil. Alongside Muslim ibn Aqil, they were dragged in the streets of Kufa. The third name was Sulaiman ibn Sard al-Khuza'i. Sulaiman ibn Sard al-Khuza'i was also amongst the first names. This man, some historical accounts would say that he got imprisoned before being able to go and aid Imam Hussain. So he couldn't physically go, he was in prison. Then later on, he would be amongst the leaders of a revolution by the name of the revolution of the Tawabin, of the repenters. Those who felt bad that they couldn't aid Imam Hussain and went to fight the leadership on behalf of Imam Hussain later on. So these 3 people clearly stuck to their word. Majority of those who wrote the first batch of letters and signed it were amongst the loyal ones. And since generally speaking, the people of Kufa, they didn't like the Umayyads because of how the Umayyads ruled them. So they all had the ground to be able to revolute against the Umayyads. So after Muawiyah died, the ruler of Kufa was by the name of Nu'man ibn al-Bashir. Nu'man ibn al-Bashir wasn't as violent as Ziyad ibn Abi. So they were able to make some movement. After that, they influenced the people around Kufa. So the second batch of letters to Imam Hussain included the lovers and included the true Shia. Because they were the first people to be affected by the movement that started by the true lawyers of Imam Hussain. The third batch that reaches to Imam Hussain, because now the movement grew in Kufa, was by the last group that we described, those who doesn't care. But they thought that a true revolution is going to happen. So they said, let me be with Hussain, so when he becomes the Khalifa, I can get my share. So the last batch were not from Shias, were from general people who don't really care whether they are with Hussain or with Muawiyah. So these 3 batches of letters. Imam Hussain, to be sure that these people are saying the truth, he decides to send his cousin, Muslim ibn Aqil. He doesn't go to Kufa and check the situation. Check, are they true in their words? So he would send to the people of Kufa, I have received your letters and I'm sending to you my trustee, my cousin, Muslim ibn Aqil. And I will be following him. Muslim ibn Aqil would arrive during Shawwal, roughly, which is 2 months prior to his killing. When he arrives, people would welcome him because they are waiting for somebody who represents Imam Hussain. They all are ready to revolute against the Umayyads because the Khilafah was meant to go to Hussain, not to Yazid. So Muslim would check the situation and he finds that all of them are truthful in their words, and he would write a message to Imam Hussain and tell him that they are truthful, so make your way towards Kufa. Imam Hussain would then make his way towards Kufa. And as Muslim reaches Kufa, and news go to Yazid that Muslim is in Kufa and the situation is dangerous. What does Yazid do? He tells Nu'man ibn Bashir, you're no longer the governor of Kufa. He would ask Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, the son of Ziyad ibn Abi, the one who Muawiyah set as governor. He would tell him, leave Basra, because he was the governor of Basra, go to Kufa and sort it out. Ubaydullah would go to Kufa. First thing he does, he puts checkpoints. Anyone who passes any road, they will ask him, where are you going? What are you doing? If they find he's Shia, they either imprison him or kill him. Muslim was obviously wanted. Whoever catches Muslim, there is a high reward for them. He took control of Kufa once again. People started fearing. The lawyers that we mentioned, the first batch of letters and some of the second batch, they were trying to revolt against Ubaydullah, but in secrecy. Many of them, however, unfortunately, got imprisoned. Some of them got killed, like Khan ibn Awwal, and some didn't. Those who didn't, many of them actually went with Imam Hussain. For historical accounts would say 1/5 of the army of Imam Hussain, which is 72, were amongst the Shia of Kufa. By the way, 1/5, if we remove the family of Rasulullah, the family from Hussain, they were not from Kufa. 1/5 is a large number of the companions in comparison to other cities. So a large number of the true loyals who sent the letters actually stuck to their word. They didn't betray Imam Hussain. The second batch, lawyers and lovers, some of them were imprisoned, some of them, they didn't stick to their word, they were afraid. They became pacifists. That's non-Shias. They were lovers of Ahlul Bayt. So it is not the Shias that betrayed Imam Hussain. That's what I'm trying to focus on. The third batch we explained, whoever is leading, whoever is gaining power, they go with him. So since Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad became powerful, they went with Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. This all shows us that number one, Kufa was not a Shia majority country or city. Number two, yes, some Kufans betrayed Imam Hussain, but not the Shia. Amir al-Mu'minin, when he praises the Kufans, because he knows there's loyal Shias amongst them. And when we find the words of Lady Zainab against the Kufans, she means those who betrayed Imam Hussain, not the Shia ones. This thing that we hear every year that the Shias are the one who betrayed Hussain, the ones that killed Hussain, it's not true. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, Muslim ibn Aqil, was wanted. And he was alone in the city of Kufa after Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad took charge. At an evening, because he had to move from a house to another, he couldn't stay in one house. In an evening, he couldn't find the house to stay in. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala In an evening, he couldn't find the house to stay in. So my dear brothers and sisters, Muslim would find a door and would stand by it. A lady would leave that door. And she saw Muslim standing for a long while. She told him, what are you doing standing in front of my door? He said, I'm sorry, but I'm a traveler. She said, where do you come from? Muslim would say, I come from the city of Rasulullah. The lady by the name of Taw'a would tell him, oh, the Medina of my master is Rasulullah. Muslim would say, rather, I am from the family of Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen. Taw'a would then tell, come in, you can spend the night here. I'll give you water and food. Muslim stayed in Taw'a's house in secrecy. He was heard whispering to Allah all night long. The same way that Sayyid al-Shuhada spent his final night in praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the night, Taw'a's son would come home. He would hear a voice from the room. He would ask his mother Taw'a, who is it in the room? Is there somebody? His mom firstly denies. He kept insisting, but I can hear a voice. I'm sure there is somebody. Then Taw'a would tell him, yes, Muslim Aqil is our guest. Then, my dear brothers and sisters, as there was a warrant on the life of Muslim, the son of Taw'a would decide to go and tell Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad about Muslim. And the next morning, Taw'a's house was surrounded by the army of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Muslim decided to leave the house house as he didn't want them to enter the house of a man-mahram. He didn't want the army to see Taw'a. Oh Muslim, how much have you thought of Taw'a? If only the enemies of Allah thought this way in Medina when they attacked the house of Lady Fatima. Muslim came out of the house. He fought them like a brave warrior. Ubaidullah asked to dig a trench and cover it as a trap of Muslim to fall into it. Until Muslim fell into the trench and his body would be covered in wounds. They dragged him to the palace. They saw him crying. They said, "Oh Muslim, are you crying for what will happen to you?" He said, "No, I'm crying for my master Hussain. For those are going to be the people who will kill my master Hussain." Muslim then said, they told him, "Do you have a final request?" He told them, "I have some debts. Please repay those debts to the people. And I would like to pray 2 final rak'at." And as Muslim finish those 2 rak'at, they would cut the head of Muslim. They would drop the body of Muslim from the palace. They would drag the body of Muslim across Kufa. Al-Hakim the news. He would go to the tent and place Hamida on his lap. Hamida would tell Imam Hussain, "Oh my master, why are you treating me like an orphan?" Here Imam Hussain would cry and tell her, "عظم الله أجرك بأبيك يا حميدة." Hamida would cry. Hamida would weep for her father. When does Hamida remember her father? When she was taken captive, she would remember her father on the way to Sham. What she would tell him, "Just like you, Kufa, I have untired. Just like you, with rocks and pebbles I was hit. Just like you, water I did not drink. Just like you, my feet were chained. Just like you, no one came to our aid. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون. Oh Allah, I ask you by the status of Mr. Ibn Aqil to accept our deeds, to cure our ill ones, for the soul of our marhumin and the marhumin of those who organize this majlis. Please recite the Fatiha before it allowed salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.